What's your I'm with the boomers on this opinion? Story 1. Not everything needs to be connected to the internet or have an app attached to it. I just want my fridge to keep Smeg cold. I don't understand why we have to bring Wi-Fi into the situation. My fracking toothbrush has an app. Why? Why? OMG, what is the app supposed to do? I have no idea. I never downloaded it. I just tried to look it up, Oral-B Smart Series, and it looks like a game that maps out your progress, so basically encourages you to keep brushing the full 30 seconds per zone. It's completely redundant because it vibrates to let you know 30 seconds have passed. Who's going to pull out their phone, load the app, and watch every time they brush? That being said, it does have a little box that mounts by your sink with a smiley face that frowns disapprovingly at you if you brush too hard, with a clock. So I guess that's nice? I don't frackin' know, man. The batteries went dead in it about a year ago and I never replaced them. Just typing all this made me realize Oral-B is cramming way too much smeg in their brushes. That is a very over-engineered toothbrush. I literally just talked a friend out of getting a smart automatic litter box with an app in smeg. The price difference was $300 more than just a regular automatic scooping box, and you get, what? Notifications that your cat just took a dump? My nose does that for free. My indicator was always dig, 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 followed by a flying leap out of the litter box, spreading the litter like shrapnel. Don't forget the long pause. Well, guess he's finally done. Dig, 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 dig. Also, don't forget the nails on chalkboard. Scree, scree, as they scratch at the walls searching for more invisible litter to bury their poop with. And then, when you go check, you see that all they managed to do was flick a few pieces of litter on top of their turd and have left it completely unburied to stink up the room. Data collection. Targeted ads. I genuinely ask people to go offline as much as possible with devices. Not everything needs to be recorded. You really don't need an Alexa. Don't forget, the S in IoT stands for security. There was a very popular sequence in the TV show Silicon Valley, that's the one, where Guilfoyle just railed against that when someone bought a refrigerator that was connected to the internet. Love that series, and that definitely encapsulated this quite a bit. And I gotta say, I'm kind of with it too. Story 2. Basic home appliances, fridge, washer, dryer, etc., do not need a touch screen. I just moved into a new place. The microwave has Wi-Fi compatibility. I don't know what it's for or for using it, but it's an option. Hacking your microwave so I can give it a virus that means your food is either slightly undercooked or overcooked, but never just right. So, just a normal microwave then. It's like, stop adding touchscreens and just give me a functioning ice maker. One that dispenses sonic ice. I hate my oven so much. It's a Genair Fancy Pants dual oven, stainless steel with a color touchscreen. When I open the door, steam comes out and covers the touchscreen. Sometimes it's just that I can't use the touchscreen at that point until I wipe the steam off. Other times, the whole oven shuts down, claiming there's some kind of internal fault. It thinks multiple areas of the touchscreen are shorted together, which I guess they kind of are. And the one time I used the self-cleaning feature, it cooked the internal electronics and I had to have the entire board replaced. Then there's the fact that everything you do with the touchscreen has animations, so it takes me 30 to 40 seconds just to turn the oven on and set the temperature. I learned from the cast iron sub that the self-cleaning function seems to break a lot of ovens. It's totally absurd. Again, we're on a similar type of feel with that one than the last story. I hate that when I was growing up with synthesizers, Every function in making a sound on a synthesizer had a knob and everything you could adjust. Then they just switched to these little pads so they could save money. And it was just so unintuitive. I hate them. Story 3. Tipping has gotten out of control. Coming from someone who relies on tips for income, it hurts people who actually should be getting them because now people are extremely agitated about any and all tipping. I was just at a music festival, and the guy who exchanges your cash for drinks tickets, not even the person who pours the beverage, had an iPad with tip options starting at 18%. Happened a couple more times after that, but not enough to really be annoyed. Oh man, this is so irritating. I went to a shop yesterday where I literally walked into the store, pointed to the item I wanted behind the counter. Girl from behind the counter put it in a small paper bag and handed it to me, and when I swiped my card, it said, "Enter tip amount." I'm sorry, but what? What am I tipping for? I stared at the screen for like 5 seconds looking for the no tip option, and there wasn't one. I felt good doing this, but I looked up at her and I said, "I don't want to leave a tip. How do I indicate that on the machine?" She said, "Press the red X." I mean, come on. An item was behind the counter. She grabbed it, put it in a bag, and handed it to me. What the frack am I tipping for? Frack that. I left feeling irritated. I am always confused by the option to tip at the self-service frozen yogurt place. What the hell? I'm also suspicious that it won't even go to the cashier. It'll just go to the owner because it's from my debit card. I try to tip cash when I can, but I wouldn't tip cash if I just made my own tasty froyo mountain. I am a total generous tipper, but for real, these days restaurants are like order from the QR code on the table, get your own water from the fill station, bus your own dishes when you're done, but oh please, the server who literally only ran your food to the table and did nothing more, tip them 20%. Fracking what? I went to a bar recently and the bouncer had an iPad with tip options for the entry fee. Tipping should be reserved for products/experiences that require a service or process like waitstaff, baristas, bartenders, etc. Even worse are the bathroom attendants who offer you mints and hand you a paper towel after you wash your hands and make you feel like you need to tip, even though you could have easily just gotten your own paper towel like 99.99% of the time you wash your hands in real life. It's such an insanely awkward interaction. Like, hey, pay this guy to watch you pee. When we were young, they wanted a tip for everything. The guy at the merch tent who didn't even stop his conversation with another employee to hand me 2 t-shirts from next to him literally didn't have to take 3 steps, asked if I'd like to leave a 25% tip. I agree that it's become pervasive, but I really think that's just because none of the employers want to pay a fair wage. Everybody's forced to, and then on top of that, I agree that a lot of owners probably want to keep the tips from themselves gone on the debit card. It won't be solved until everybody gets paid a fair wage for what they're doing. You know, that's it. It's never going to go away until we do that. Story 4. Music in bars is too loud. Edit to add that I've been a touring musician and live sound technician. I love music, but it actually sounds better at lower volumes, and I want to be able to hear it into my old age. I want to find just one bar where I can talk to my friends without screaming. What? He said he wanted to talk to us without screaming. Who's leaving? And shops. I've left clothes shops because the music is irritatingly loud and I can't talk to my partner. I worked in a store recently that had control over the music volume. Myself and coworkers always had to go over and turn it down because the store manager kept turning it up way too high. If I can't fracking hear the customer, I can't help them. And if the customer can't fracking hear me, they can't be helped. Like, leave music at a normal, enjoyable level. Weddings, parties, stores, just about everywhere. If we're going to a concert, then crank it. If the music is to enhance the experience, and instead it's just drowning it in noise pollution, then there's a failure in execution. Story 5. If you're walking on a crowded sidewalk, get off your fracking phone. It's not the job of other pedestrians to avoid you while you make your vlog. Awareness of your surroundings is important. I've seen people stand in the middle of a stairway, blocking people going up and down the stairs just to do something on their phone. The lack of awareness of people around them is horrible. You know what's funny? I've had few experiences of people walking in groups or simply just one person walking right through the middle of the sidewalk, and they would just stare at me in the eye expecting me to get out of the way. I don't have anywhere to fracking go, you fracking buttholes. To the right, cars going over the speed limit. On the left, a wall. I know this is a kind of weird thing for me to do, but at some point, I just stopped trying to yield to people who completely disregard sidewalk etiquette and plow right through them instead. If you're walking four abreast across a sidewalk like you described, the two on the right are getting shoulder checked. Story 6. I'm not downloading a fracking app to use your menu. And I don't need a deity-damned app for every website, shop, or restaurant I visit. Please, just put your menu and hours on a normal website and stop trying to clog up my phone. Edit. And have a real website. Not a Facebook page or an Instagram account. Those might be good in addition to your website, but if the only way I can place an order is through your Insta DMs, just fracking forget it. This is best viewed in our app. No, it's not. Translates to, this is best not viewed at all. These are ways to never get me into your restaurant. This one website's mobile site is so annoying. It now constantly asks if you want to continue using the mobile version or use the app. You used to be able to get rid of the notification, but they decided this was bad business. Now it pops up and scrolls you back to the top of whatever sub you were browsing. Infuriating. I don't want your fracking app. But then how can they mine your sweet, sweet data? Well, they can buy it from Meta and Tencent like everyone else. I work at a restaurant as a host and recently failed our secret shopper because I asked, how many menus? Instead of, would you like menus or the QR code on the table? Most of the time when I do remember to ask, people just look at me confused and say, 3. It's great. Edit to add, we don't have the feature where you can order through the QR code. Just the menu. Secret shoppers are lame. And when I initially failed, I didn't know we were supposed to ask this, so I didn't get written up or anything. Our menus are at the front, and it's the host's job to get the right amount before bringing the guests to the table, which is why we ask how many are needed. This isn't necessarily the way all restaurants work, but this is what I was trained to do. I'm hoping to be promoted to server soon. They told me before the year ends, and if they don't by January, I will quit. If restaurant chains just required everyone from corporate to work in the restaurant for 2 weeks as part of their onboarding or continued education, they would solve so many issues. New reality show idea. Chain restaurant location run entirely by corporate for a week. This, but for everything. 75% of apps should just be a standard responsive website. It would load faster, be usable across more devices, less work for the dev teams to maintain a presence on all the app stores and update. I really think most of the time and effort put into apps is to make them sticky and just more present on users' devices, at the cost of just about everything else. My favorite app? It only exists to launch an embedded browser. Why do you have a fracking app? For instance, HobbyDB literally has no app functionality past the main screen display. I'm not giving you my personal data, and I'm not subscribing to your newsletter to read your menu. I've actually seen less of this. I have seen QR codes at some places, but they've all had paper menus, and I've always asked for one. I've never really had the need to go scan a QR. And if I'm out with my mom and one of her friends, they'd have no idea what to do. I would feel really bad for them. They would be so confused.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 7. When you're in a public place, you should respect others around you, but not being disruptive with your behavior. For example, not playing music on your phone without headphones while on a bus, in a restaurant, etc. Wear headphones, you disruptive fracks. What I find especially infuriating is when someone does wear headphones, but around their neck and treat them like speakers. Or those MFers who walk around having loud butt phone conversations on speaker in stores. Makes me want to slap that smeg out of their hands. Back when I worked in retail, customers would routinely be having a phone conversation on speaker while I was using the bathroom. I never felt bad about the loud flushing toilet going off or the even louder hand dryers. It's super distasteful to me to be on the phone, on speaker, in the bathroom. Some of the conversations I heard were just, ugh. I'm a primary care doctor, and I've had people pick up a call in the middle of an appointment. It used to grind my gears, but now I just get up, leave the room, and go see the next patient. I leave enough of a note so that when I come back about 20 minutes later, I can just walk back in and pick up exactly where we left off. It's usually hilarious. Also, if you're with a person, friend, colleague, client, doctor, if your phone rings, check who is calling. If you have to take the call, tell your companion, "Excuse me, I have to take this," and answer the call. Do not just cut them off in mid-sentence to answer any and all calls. Fracking rude. Story 8. I've got quite a few, but my biggest one? Products aren't made to last anymore. Planned obsolescence has to stop. Here's where I differ from boomers. Not only is it bad for the environment, it's smeggy justification for making terrible products. I am constantly complaining about planned obsolescence. It's even happening to medical equipment. It's getting out of control. I'm not a doctor, but that sounds dangerous as smeg. I'm a nurse, and it is dangerous as smeg. Most of our issues come from manufacturers discontinuing essential consumables when they make a new model, even though the old ones still work. Or they'll stop doing repairs and maintenance because, oh, look at that, we have a new model. We just had our iMed pump manufacturer discontinue our particular IV line and switch us to a cheaper, smeggier compatible line that sucks air in through the side ports, as well as discontinue the Y connectors that go with it. They want us to get the smegs with the older machines and upgrade to the new version to get usable lines again. Another example is our thermometers. The probe covers for the older model were discontinued, so we had to buy all new thermometers. The old ones still worked, just can't be operated without the cover. Story 9. Sometimes it's faster and easier to just plug something in instead of dealing with Bluetooth connectivity. There's something nice about knowing how to get it connected and being able to physically connect/disconnect. The same applies to networking. Wi-Fi is not a panacea, and it's very much worth your while doing some cabled networking if you actually value your networked experience. Most petty thing that annoys me is almost all smart TVs have Ethernet ports, but almost every single one is limited to fast Ethernet, which is 100 Mbps. Meanwhile, the Wi-Fi can go much faster. I value my networking experiences, and that's why I want to have a wired connection. In addition, a TV is probably the best case for a wired connection. It's something that never moves and is static and is already tethered to the wall for power. Your options for above fast Ethernet is Wi-Fi or buying an NVIDIA Shield Pro. How much can gigabit Ethernet cost in 2022? I would blow someone for the next cheap iPhone to have a headphone jack again. Sick of getting on the metro and finding out my headphones are near dead. Story 10. Frack fast fashion. My clothes should be made to last. I'm not rich, so it's unavoidable, but I'm willing to spend extra on clothes that aren't made of plastic, and I do my best to repair my damaged clothing instead of throwing it out. There's a documentary on the company Shein. I'm sorry I can't remember the name of it, but it's about the working conditions of the people that make those clothes, and it's horrific. Also, the environmental impact from fast fashion is so much higher than anyone would think. My wife and I were watching a Canadian TV show once where they go undercover to investigate different things. I forget the name, but they'd look into anything sketchy, and had an episode about Shein and other fast fashion companies like them. Not only are they horrible working conditions and awful for the environment, but many of their clothes also contain toxic chemicals and heavy metals, and not the good ones like Iron Maiden either. Basically, by wearing their clothing, you're poisoning yourself. I want to buy a pair of jeans that will last more than 2 years. Levi's have not been lasting more than a year for me lately. Go Wrangler. Less expensive than Levi's and lasts quite a long time. Story 11. TV is getting too dark. Not emotionally, it's visually too dark, and I can't see it. And it's way too quiet until it's suddenly way too loud. Or the background music is louder than the dialogue. That too. We watch everything with subtitles now. Too dark and too quiet. I swear we have to turn the volume up like twice as loud as we have it normally to watch Yellowstone. Better believe the commercials have plenty of volume, though. There's almost no show I watch anymore without captions on. Story 12. Touchscreens in cars are a fundamentally bad idea, and physical buttons or similar controls need to be brought back. Distracted driving is at an all-time high. Touchscreen controls literally require you to take your eyes off the road and can create a longer time of inattention due to their complexity. I have an old car with physical controls. I can do dang near anything, radio, climate control, etc., without taking my eyes off the road and in much less time. Cars with dial gears are awful. You could think you're turning down the volume while backing up and accidentally put the car into a different gear. Story 13. Certain things shouldn't require you to download an app and/or create a whole account, including ordering food in a restaurant, paying for parking, buying something online, sending a parcel. I'll throw in buying concert tickets. Thanks, Ticket Mongrel, especially since they got rid of tickets entirely and you get in by scanning a code on your phone. I have a huge collection of ticket stubs that all bring back various memories of concerts, but the most recent one I went to has absolutely nothing physical to remind me of the experience. The hell I'm paying $50 for a t-shirt or $200 for a poster. Story 14. There's an old acronym. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Just because you can make something super flashy, complicated, intriguing, or otherwise impressive doesn't mean you should. This goes from everything from cars to computer software to movies and film. Trying too hard to make something impressive only leaves you with something that may look pretty but doesn't have proper support. Great advice. Hurts my feelings every time. Story 15. Give me back my headphone jack. Story. I'm a cybersecurity expert at a large ISP in London. That doesn't really matter much to the story, but we, EU, implemented GDPR a few years ago. So personal information gathering is a big thing in my field. There was a cheap Chinese smart vacuum that did a GDPR request on a few years ago, and the thing was gathering pages and pages of data on Western apartments and sending it to China. They were gathering info on dimensions of people's flats/apartments to create Western living in China. Data harvesting is real. Story 16. I don't need a subscription for everything. No, you don't need my phone number or email. Just let me buy my shirt and get the frack out of the store. Radio Shack was doing that before it was cool. They wanted my name, address, and phone number to buy a soldering iron in the 90s. Also, they're out of business. I simply reply, no thanks. Story 17. Touchscreen cars are not a good idea. I wish car companies would take a page out of the avionics design book. Put the essential and highly used functions on a physical button or slider with physical detents and secondary functions on a touchscreen. Lights, wipers, climate controls, stereo controls, and gear selection needs buttons, knobs, and levers for eyes-free operation. All other settings and functions can go to the touchscreen without a white or blue background. Fracking sucks to try to frack around with settings to change the background to black so the 32-inch deity damn TV and dash will stop blinding me at night. Story 18. Physical media. Owning books, movies, and music is far superior to a subscription service or digital content, and much more permanent too. Do you know how much smeg I've lost? Books, photos, music, personal written smeg, etc., due to ending subscriptions, devices breaking, getting lost, data being corrupted, etc.? I don't, but it's a lot, and I specifically mourn the loss of lilac-haired photos of my teen self. Smeg went hard. Story 19. I want a human customer service operator, not an automated operator or chat bot. Dude, for real, I hate having to go through 5 minutes of menus just for it to connect me to a person anyway, and then they have to transfer me 3 times. What purpose does it even serve? Story 20. Every damn thing is a subscription. Music? Subscription. Movies? Subscription. TV shows? Subscription. Heat your butt while you're driving? Subscription. Really? Oh, sorry. I'm a boomer. I'll leave now. Story 21. Most people don't train their dogs well enough because they treat them like children. Then they can't handle them when they're reactive and put people and other dogs in danger. Story 22. Many things which basically all trace back to sundry get off your frackin' phone situations.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.